Hello, Bulls and Bears. JJ here. You're watching Bull Boom Bear Bust. It is Tuesday, February 25th. Second video today. Major events coming out of the financial markets today. Another big drop in the Dow. Now, after big drops in the past, it was very typical to see recoveries. It may not have recovered the full amount of the previous day's drop, but at least we would have green days and then eventually lead on to new highs. This is the second big red day in a row, down another 3.3% on the Dow, 2.86% on the S&P, another nearly 3% on the NASDAQ, right? And I'm still going to say what I always say. If the market is dropping, it's because they are allowing it to drop. Okay, these markets are completely controlled, completely manipulated, right? They have unlimited funny money available at the push of a button to prop these markets up, and it's unlimited. So they are allowing this market to drop. Now, why would they do that? Right? And I'm not saying it's going to continue to drop, but why are they allowing it to drop now? Well, because now they have an excuse. And how many, if you've been on this channel, you know, for years we've talked about a black swan event. Anything could happen, a black swan event. That's one of the reasons, among many, why you do not want to follow any recommendations or follow anyone on YouTube that's telling you what's going to happen. No one has a crystal ball. This is a black swan event, this panic coming out of China that's spreading now in many different countries. No one saw this coming even 6 months ago. No one was talking about this, right? Unless there is somebody out there with a crystal ball. I've never met that person yet. And this is why I always say be prepared. Now, the preppers, and I've been called, from time to time, I've been called a crazy prepper, conspiracy theorist. But the preppers don't look so crazy now, do they? Look at some of the countries where the store shelves, not the entire country, but some of the cities in certain countries where the store shelves are empty. People are panicking. And even if it's not the virus that gets you, it could be the panic that evolves from the virus, even if the virus is not in your local area. Right? And this is what I always say, have a backup plan. Try to be as self-sufficient as possible. Okay, let's take a look at the big picture here. Normally, a politician in his or her first term would not want the economy to come crashing down on their watch. And the stock market is a very important part of the economy, right? Even if you're not in the stock market, it has a big impact on companies hiring. Believe me, when the people at the top are not able to sell their shares at profits, they start second guessing any new hiring and giving out pay raises. And in fact, you can very easily start seeing a lot of layoffs when that happens, even more than we're seeing already. So the stock market's big, and that's why I say in the first term for a politician like we're in right now, they usually want to keep the stock market propped up. So I think, you know, they're likely going to bring it up. But think about the other part of this. Now they have an excuse, right? So even if the market does come crashing down, first the stock market, the first domino very well could be, then the rest of the economy afterwards. Now they don't have to take the blame. They could say, hey, the stock market crashed, but it wasn't my fault. I was doing everything right. This black swan event came out of nowhere, and this could be used as the excuse. Let me know what you think. Could this be the beginning of the big correction, recession, bear market, the beginning of the big, fat, ugly bubble that they talked about back in 2016, the beginning of that popping? What do you think? Is this a convenient excuse to allow the correction to now begin? Right? And I'm not saying this was this whole panic was unleashed on purpose, but you got to ask yourself, the timing really is convenient for an excuse now. So now they can say, hey, the banking system, that was perfect. The economic system, nothing wrong. Everything was going perfect until this black swan came out of nowhere and crashed the economy worldwide. And now you have an excuse not just here in the U.S. for the crash, but globally. The global economic system now has an excuse, right? The fractional reserve banking system, nothing wrong with that. It works perfect. On the fact that homelessness is increasing has nothing to do with the banking system. You know, the banking system's perfect. It's all about the coronavirus. And the sad part is most people here in the U.S. will believe it, right? 99.9% of the people believe that the economy is strong right now. That's what they're being fed through the media, right? Maybe it's not 99.9. I mean, a large percentage of the population thinks the economy is the best it's ever been. If you look at the manipulated numbers then sure, if you believe the stock market is a gauge of the economy, sure, the stock market's still at or near all-time highs even after this big sell-off. Unemployment's near 50-year lows. Is it an accurate number? No, but it's always been manipulated. It's always been a cherry-picked number, which excludes people that have been out of the labor force. For a certain length of time, you're no longer counted as being unemployed. So sure, the flawed statistics do make it look like the economy is one of the best ever. But when you take a look in the real world, the debt levels, the homelessness increasing, the delinquencies rising, the wealth transfer, right? Look at home ownership. Home ownership still hasn't recovered since the housing bust. A lot of people that were already rich obtained more wealth and acquired more real estate during the crash, and some other smaller fry investors as well. Right, so what do we think? Is this the beginning of the collapse? Are they going to use this as the excuse, or is this just another blip in the stock market? We're going to continue to go to new highs, right? Nobody knows, because nobody knows how this pandemic is going to play out. Is it going to just be snuffed out by summer, or is it going to continue to spread? This is a whole new aspect that nobody had foreseen. When you look back a couple years, no one was talking about this. And I say it many times, I'll say it again, be prepared. Try to be as self-sufficient as possible. If you have a stockpile of food for a few months, that would be a great idea. And just accumulate a few canned goods at a time. I went to the grocery store yesterday, bought some big bags of rice and some canned goods, soups, stews, beans that had a shelf life of almost 2 years. And hey, a year and a half out, if I don't use them, we'll start mixing them into the meals and using them. So it's not really that much of a risk to plan ahead, like that, and stockpiling some goods. Self-defense mechanism. Gold and silver, you never know. You never know. You could try to go barter your trade it in, or barter your gold and silver. People might only want food and water because it's that, grocery store shelves are bare. An ounce of silver, an ounce of gold may not do anybody a lot of good, except for, it looks cool. To give you an example of where gold and silver did very well would be Venezuela. When the economy crashed, hyperinflation ensued, and people that had gold and silver also found that the gold and silver value had hyperinflated, so they had a very valuable tool to barter with. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to be the same here in the U.S., right? Two different scenarios, two different economies. We have the world reserve currency. Venezuela did not. But I try to still have some on the side just in case. Every few weeks I get another order of silver. Right? Be prepared. Right? Ride the bull. Prepare for the bear. This is where we're at. Now, speaking of predictions and crystal balls, it's pretty interesting to see what some of these people are saying. The director of National Economic Council, Larry Kudlow's out there. And believe me, I don't believe most of what these guys say, but it is interesting to see what they're saying. Larry Kudlow, U.S. has contained coronavirus and the economy is holding up nicely. And he says, quote, the outbreak is a human tragedy and will not likely be an economic tragedy. All right, so what do you think? Would he come out and say this if he wasn't privy on what's happening behind the scenes? Maybe he knows something we don't. All right, but remember, Kudlow, he's the same clown sitting there on CNBC as the economy was collapsing, as the housing bubble went bust 12 years ago now, that did not forewarn anyone about what was unwinding at that time. I'd also look at his position. Is he paid to try to keep everybody calm? I think the answer is yes. Let me know what you think about that. Right? And even if they do rescue the stock market, this is just temporary. Again, I think they're just trying to get to the end of the year until after November. Then we get into the second term, and then all bets are off the table, in my humble opinion. Okay, and just to put this out there again, I know many of you have heard this from me. We do have a lot of new subscribers on the channel. Thank you for joining the channel, by the way. I continue to believe that we're going to see deflation in the next downturn. I'm not saying this is the beginning, but when it gets here, and it will get here, I see deflation. I do not see hyperinflation. After deflation, then you could possibly see hyperinflation when the bankers come in with their superhero costumes pretending to be the saviors. Then they can come in with more stimulus, new rounds of bailouts, even bigger than the ones we've seen already. Speaking of bailouts, let's check in on today's repo market action. We do have a link over at our homepage. Just look down in the description. In all these videos, not just today, but all these videos, We typically will have all the links for you. This one is right here, the Fed repo tracker. We're going to open that up in a new window and let's take a look. And this is the Federal Reserve official website for the Bank of New York. We see that one-day term operation 49 billion, and we see the 10 and the 14-day 25 billion. So just under 75 billion that they're pumping into these markets because the system is falling apart. Why? Because the economic system is messed up big time. It's been propped up with central bank intervention, funny money, and something's going to bring it down. Is this it? You let me know down in comments, please. And what are you doing? Are you preparing? Are you putting away food, putting away water? Is there going to be another excuse for the economic decline? And again, ask yourselves, this timing is very convenient. What do you think about all this? All right, thanks for watching this update, everybody. Ride the bull, more so prepare for the bear based on what's happening. Bye for now.